מי זה לצידי פוסע מרחקים גדול.
Welcome to the Wednesday night shiur. Our shiur is sponsored by Daniel and Rosh Hashanah and Gabriel Ben Ruben Hedaya. May I send you guys, may you send Daniel refuah shlema b'me'ave karov. May you always be able to stand on your feet. Amen. And to Gabriel Ben Ruben Hedaya, may this be the year. May you, that's the right way to say it. Amen. Netzach sela va'ed, you have to say. Amen. Netzach sela va'ed. And we're starting our shiur, and we're going to start our shiur. The first part of our shiur is going to be obviously the regular Wednesday night shiur. The second part is going to be our Otzot Chaim shiur. We split it into two, that way we can get more learning in. And before we start the shiur, I want to say that just b'inyanei deyoma, what's been happening in New York, in America for the past couple of days. I'm not going to give my 2 cents on it. I just want to say that the message to the Jewish people are clear. The message is clear in a way that you should know one thing, that we're never safe anywhere. The safe haven that we thought it was America is not really a safe haven. If Hashem wants, He could change everything bin laila. Overnight He could change everything. And therefore, the only way to make yourself protected is to make sure to know who your real protector is. And who is our real protector? HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And this is a time to strengthen ourselves in Torah and mitzvot umasim tovim, and to take upon ourselves mitzvot. It's still the beginning of the year, consider. Until Cheshvan doesn't finish, it's still the beginning of the year. So therefore, we started over here our Otzot Chaim shiur to teach everybody over here, to give everybody a chance to learn the secrets of the Torah. As we know, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, with this chibur, we will come out of the galut with rachamim. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says this in the Zohar HaKadosh. So therefore, that's what we started. Today, our shiur, we're going to focus on the parasha Chayei Sarah, which is one of the most amazing parashas. The Gemara says that the Torah spend more time talking about the conversation of the slave of our forefathers than the conversation that God had with our actual forefathers. The whole parasha is a conversation basically between between Eliezer, the butler, the slave of Abraham, with a couple of low-lives, Ramaim, Rishaim. We're going to learn that Betuel was such a Rasha that there is a Midrash and that says that Betuel was such a Rasha that all the people of the city were afraid of him. He was the father of Rivka, our mother, Rivka. He had a custom that the first night of every girl in that city, he would take it for himself. Later on, the Romans did that too. Actually, in fact, if you guys don't know this, the minhag that the goyim have to have a best man comes from that. The minhag.
Greeks did.
Huh? I don't know if the Greeks did it, but for sure the Romans, huh?
Hanukkah, Greeks.
The story of Hanukkah, right? The story of Hanukkah, but it's a Gemara Masechet Ketuvot, right? It says over here the Gemara Masechet Ketuvot that it's a famous Gemara that the case that the Roman legionnaires, right? That they used to take the Jewish girls on their wedding nights. Right. And that's also why I heard that the Hasidim used to start that minhag, some Hasidus, that the women used to shave off the hair off their head to make themselves look repulsive to their captors. So that's the kind of man Betuel was, the father of Rivka. And as you could imagine, Rivka had a very hard time finding a husband. Who would want to marry the daughter of such a Rasha? In fact, the Midrash says that God killed Betuel. Killed him. Why? Because he was such a Rasha that the townspeople would have come to him and said, you take our daughters on the first night, your daughter's about to get married, take her too. And he would have agreed. So God had to kill him not to defile our Rivka, which is one of the greatest matriarchs, one of the greatest characters in Jewish history. This is our mother. So the Torah starts off, V'yu Chayei Sarah, the death of Sarah. We know why Sarah passed away. And it says the story of how Abraham calls Eliezer. Now what's interesting, this parasha, it's the whole story of Eliezer. But it doesn't mention his name even once. Even one time doesn't mention his name. Doesn't mention.
No. He's just talking in the
He's just talking in the third, I don't know, called the third person, the first, whatever the case is. And Eliezer is given a task by our father, Avraham Avinu, to go find a wife for Yitzchak. Okay. Why can't Yitzchak go himself? Why can't Yitzchak go himself? Yitzchak is a olat mima. What's a olat mima? He's a pure korban. He can't leave Israel. He's too pure to leave Israel. But really, Yitzchak was supposed to go. That's the first lesson of marriage. The Chachamim say, the man is supposed to go after the woman. Not the woman is supposed to go after the guy. Nikuda. By Yaakov, we see that fully. Yaakov goes and he works for them 7 years. Another 7 years. He worked. But Yitzchak, Abraham didn't say, some guys say, I'm going to wait for the woman to come. I'm going to wait. I'm not worried. God is with me. Suddenly he's a man of emunah. The girl's going to come to my doorstep. That's not the way the Torah works. Avraham Avinu was worried to see his grandchildren. How old was he? 137 years old. He said, I have a mitzvah to find my son a wife. Right? As the Gemara says in Masechet Kiddushin, a father has to do 3 things for his son. Teach him Torah, find him a wife, find him a job. And Rabbi Yehuda says also teach him how to swim. 4 things. According to Rabbi Yehuda, 4 things. Avraham Avinu learned Gemara too. He says, I have to find my son a wife. If he can't go to himself, I have to find it. And what was his first rule? His first and only rule to Eliezer, he's not going to marry a girl from the land of Canaan. He can't marry a Goya. He cannot. Unfortunately, and this is why Hashem does that to the Jewish people sometimes, to awaken us and to show us that we are different than the Goyim. And no matter how much we try to be like them, they'll always come back to remind us that we're different than them. There's no case where the Goya, you will say, I will go out, she will convert for me. It's very rare, and it's not even allowed. She can't convert for marriage. Well, how come Avraham didn't want Yitzchak to marry a girl from Canaan? Because they were shtufei zima. Eretz Canaan was a place where everyone over there was defiled in znut. And as we know in Parashat Pinchas, Bil'am said to Balak, these guys, they have a God. Their God hates one thing. He can handle anything but one thing, znut. God destroyed a whole generation. He destroyed a whole world for one thing, for zima. Elokim shel elu soneh zima. Avraham Avinu tells Eliezer, do not. Eliezer said, I have a daughter. Second rule we learn from here. You have a daughter, but what is your shorish? The Gemara says in Masechet Kiddushin, Daf Ayin, the first thing you have to look at a woman when you want to marry her is not her beauty, not the size of her bank account. You have to look what's her shorish. What's her yichus? What's her avlot? Exactly.
Granddaughter of Nimrod.
She's, according to some opinions, Eliezer was the son of Nimrod. Abraham's like, you want my son to marry the granddaughter of the guy who threw me into a fiery furnace? This is Nimrod. But Eliezer said, but I converted, I got a brit milah. Abraham said, I'm sorry, no. It doesn't work that way. It wasn't until Eliezer gets to Lavan's house and Lavan tells him, come inside. Baruch Hashem. At that moment, Eliezer goes from a cursed person to a blessed person. Maybe if he would have went back, then he would have given him Yitzchak. Why did he need Lavan to tell him that he was blessed? Because only the klipa, the place where you came from, can tell you that you've changed. You can't go to a new person and say, who am I? How does he know who you are? But when he went to the klipa, when he went to his hometown, went to Lavan, Lavan was also cursed. He's Lavan, he's white, but he's really shechor. And he tells him, who am I? Baruch Hashem, you're the blessed of God. The first person to say Baruch Hashem was who? Some say it was Yitro, but I'm sorry to tell you, it's in this week's parasha. Lavan said it first. He said, Bo, Baruch Hashem, lama ta'amod bachutz. Why are you standing outside? Eliezer goes, one thing we learn, when a person does hishtadlut to find a wife, what happens? Eliezer made a 3-day trip in one day. Make your hishtadlut. What kind of hishtadlut? Eliezer took 10 camels, gold, diamonds, everything. He had a star, that everything that Abraham owns. Why? When you're going to get a wife, you're going for war. Yaakov prepared in 3 ways when he went to fight Esav. Prayer, gifts, and strategy. So when you're going, Eliezer was going, he had to do all 3. When he went by the well, he prayed to God. He said, God, give me a sign. He prayed. Money, strategy, what was that? He took all the cash. Number 3, war. When Lavan said, I'm not giving you my sister, Eliezer said, oh, he didn't give up that easy. What did he say? Let's call the girl and let's ask her. He did all 3. When you go to marriage, you're going for war. And you got to prepare in 3 ways, just like Yaakov Avinu, just like Eliezer did. Eliezer goes. He makes a 3-day trip in 1 day. The earth shrunk for him. Kifitzat haderech. He didn't ask for kifitzat haderech. It happened to him. It just happened to him. Who was he? He was Eliezer, Eved Abraham. He was Arur. He wasn't Baruch yet. He goes. But he's still Arur. He was a ger. He goes to Haran. What's Haran, guys? You know what the word Haran means? Makom Charon Af. The place where God gets angry. Haran was that place symbolized God's deen, God's judgment. Eliezer goes to the ayin. He goes to the well. And over here we learn one thing. Are you allowed to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu for a sign if she's the right girl? Yes. Eliezer did it. So can you. There was a famous story. Rav Zilberstein brings it down in his book Barachi Nafshi. Not Aleinu L'Shaveh, Barachi Nafshi. There was this rabbi that he was a young boy. He wanted to get married. And he was coming for a very good yeshiva. And he had two hatzaot, choices. Yeah, there's also another famous story with the Stipler about this, but let's stick with this one first. He goes, and he doesn't know what to do, so who does he ask for advice? He asks his father. He asked his father for advice. His name was Rav Herman. He goes to the Kotel, his father, and he starts praying to Hashem. He says, Hashem, give me a sign that the girl that he's dating right now is the one for him. Suddenly from the kotel, a paper falls out. Wow. And that paper was a piece of the Siddur. When we tie our hands with tefillin every day, what do we say? Ve'estich li le'olam. Ve'estich li tzedek u'mishpat v'chesed ve'estich li le'olam ve'aydat et amonai. What do we say? That's our wedding with us and Hashem. And he knew this was the right girl for him. The paper came out of the kotel of Ma'aravi, hit him straight in the face. Ve'estich li le'olam. You're allowed to ask for a sign for Hashem. Eliezer did it. If Eliezer could do it, you could do it too. But you have to be smart enough to decipher what the sign is. Huh?
Is it too late now?
Yeah, and this is already, listen. The sign is that you're hearing this.
You already tied a knot.
Yeah, you already tied a knot. You're done.
You're in already.
Yeah, you're in.
That's it. No going back.
What happens? What happens? Eliezer meets Rivka. And the Torah gives a testimony. What's a testimony? She's a kosher girl. Why do we know she's a kosher girl? She does chesed. Very nice. She does chesed. Many girls do chesed. But what was her chesed over here? She had the same attribute of chesed that Avraham Avinu had. That's a sign that she belonged to his family. The water came up to her. That's another rule in Shidduchim. When it's the right girl, what's supposed to happen? The water is supposed to jump to you in your face. No, I'm kidding. She's supposed to throw the water to your face. No, that's not what's supposed to happen. He says to her, give me the water. She gives the water. And something amazing happens over here. Eliezer right away, what does he do? He puts on her a ring, a nose. I knew you were going to say that. A nose ring, a bracelet. And the Torah gives all the, how much it was. The tzmidim. And then he asks her, what is your name? And what does she say? It's Rivka. Hello. Isn't it supposed to be the other way around? Who are you? What are you doing? Then you give her the gold. This is a rule in Shidduchim. Whenever it looks like it's going good, don't wait. Seal the deal. Don't wait to ask her, what is your plans? What is this? What is that? She's into you. You're into her. Seal the deal. And then ask questions later.
You could always break it off.
Let's an engagement. But at least have pat b'salom. Eliezer did it. The Torah spends pages telling us what he did. Specific with the weight of the gold. What's the next step? He goes to Lavan's house. Right away he sees a good sign. Lavan calls him what? Baruch Hashem. He's the blessed of God. He went from Arur to Baruch. Now he's on a high, he's on a spiritual high. You're going out with a girl, you're on a spiritual high, it's working out. He goes to the house, right away, Betuel starts to poison the soup. Gavriel comes down, Malach Gavriel, he's all over the place. He switches the soup, bam, Betuel dies. Ay, 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 she's not the right one. It's a sign she's not the right, no! The Ari HaKadosh says, when something is going wrong, that's a sign that it is the right one. Why? The Ari HaKadosh says, in our generation, when a person wants to get married, when he's going to meet the girl that she said he's supposed to get married to, it's going to be very hard. The Yetzer Hara doesn't want him to get married. The Gemara says a scary story. Scary story. I read this story to the kids in my class today. I had to shut them up somehow. And I had goosebumps when I read the story, because I read the story 7 years ago. And I read it again today. It gave me a different view of how the Torah looks in marriage. There was a rabbi, his name was Rav Huna. Just to give you a taste who Rav Huna was, when his Rebbe Rav, who was Rosh HaGolah, passed away, there were 3 men that were supposed to take his spot. Either Rav Yehuda, another one was Rav Shmuel Bar Matna, I believe that was his name, and the third one was Rav Huna. Rav Huna was the youngest out of all of them. He was 37 years old. 37. Out of all 3 of them, who did they choose to be the head of the Jewish people? Yeah. Rav Huna. Rav Huna was so great that Rabbi Yehuda Anasi was afraid of him. He was afraid of him. He said, he comes from King David from the father's side. I only come from the mother's side. If he comes to Israel, I have to acquiesce my seat to him. Exactly. And he was very afraid of that. Because Rebbe said I could do anything except what the Bnei Betera did to my father, my grandfather Hillel. I'm not going to get into what they did. Rav Huna had a friend and a student called Rav Chisda. He was very rich, Rav Chisda. Very, very rich. Rav Chisda said, no, this is the time of the Gemara. Okay. Rav Chisda gives the following testimony in the Gemara. The following testimony. He says, I'm better than all my friends. I once read this Gemara with somebody, whoa, such a gava he has, how dare you say that? See, we live in this crazy world where a person can't even talk anymore, you know? You think you're supposed to put yourself down to the dirt. No. Vayigba libo b'darchei Hashem. Your heart has to be high in the ways of Hashem. It's a metaphor. So he says, I'm better than all my friends. How am I better than all my friends? I got married when I was 16. What? That makes you better than all your friends. Say I finished all the Gemarot, all the Mishnayot. I'm Rav Huna's Chavruta. He was Rav Huna's Chavruta. Rav Huna used to ask him questions, and he was the head of all the Jews. I'm better than all my friends. Why? I got married when I was 16.
That's old.
When I first read that Gemara, I was, when you get those goosebumps. And he said if I would have gotten married at 14, I would have taken an arrow and put it in the Satan's eyes. The Satan would have no control over me. That's what makes me greater than all my friends. So I once had a Shidduch. I'm going to share it with you guys. Maybe it's written somewhere, but that's what came to mind when I was learning this. Why did he specifically say if I would have gotten married at 14, I would have put an eye in the eyes of the Satan? An arrow in the eye of the Satan. There is another story in the Gemara with a guy, also a very big Amora, Flimo his name was. He always used to say, Flimo, Masechet Ta'anit I believe this is, may an arrow pierce the Satan's eyes. One day the Satan's like, what? This guy is saying an arrow shall go into my eye. It was Erev Yom Kippur. He comes to his house, the whole balagan. He plays dead. Everybody's running after Flimo. Erev Yom Kippur. He's running paro pajamas. Everyone's running after him. Flimo killed somebody Erev Yom Kippur. He's a Tana and he's running. Suddenly he meets the Satan. It's like, resurrection of the dead. Everybody's like, don't ever say there should be an arrow in my eye. Watch your mouth. So how did Rav Chisda have the right to say if I would get married at 14? And you know what? This is recorded forever. How did he have a right to say there should be if I would get married at 14, an arrow would have pierced Satan's eyes? I'll tell you why. In the beginning of the second Beit HaMikdash, the Chachamim came to a conclusion. The Jewish people are in a very low level. These guys are just full of desires. Full of desires. We got to fix them somehow. We got to give them a certain leeway. an opening. What is that? We're going to capture the Satan responsible for idol worship, and we're going to kill him. Could you imagine the power these rabbis had? They captured him, and they slaughtered him. That's why today, we walk around, you think you're something special because you're walking around and you don't have any... The Gemara said that if Rav Ashi would have lived in the time of Menashe, he would have picked up his jalabiyah and he would run after to do Avodah Zarah. Rav Ashi, the writer of the Gemara. So he said, we're going to do the same thing with the Yetzer Hara that deals with promiscuous things, if you know what I mean. We're going to do the same thing. Why? Imagine nobody has a Yetzer Hara for that. Forget about it. We would all be the Arya Kadosh.
It's in Sanhedrin, no?
Huh? It's in Masechet Sanhedrin and in Masechet Yoma. This story is recorded. They capture him. And they blind him in one. And what do? They blindfold him. We want to try it out first. It's this dangerous territory. They blindfold the Satan. The Gemara says the next day a chicken didn't lay an egg. There were no fertilized eggs. A chicken didn't lay an egg. Nobody wanted to even look at the opposite gender. Rav Nachum of Breslev says, if you would just understand your Yetzer Hara for this, you would say this is the dumbest Yetzer Hara in the world. So why do we have it? If we didn't have this, there would be no children in this world. So what did they do? The Gemara says they took an arrow and they took out one of his eyes. Why? Now, what did that do? What difference did that make? Now we don't want to, God forbid, be with our relatives, the arayot, all these kind of stuff. It's disgusting, right? Why do we feel disgusted by it? Because the Chachamim did that. If it wasn't for that, God forbid, who knows, it would be Dora Mabul today. Mamash, it would be Dora Mabul. So why did Rav Chisda say if I would have married at 14, I would have put an arrow in the Yetzer Hara's eyes, he would have taken out the other eye. If he would have got married at 14, he would have taken out the other eye. He wouldn't even have any desires anymore. The Gemara says Rav Chisda was sitting with Rav Huna. Gemara Masechet Kiddushin, right before Daf Chavtet, I believe, 29, if you want to look it up, 29b. And he tells him, I have another friend called Rav Hamnuna. Rav Chisda is talking, also the kids in my class got confused. Rav Chisda is talking to Rav Huna about Rav Hamnuna. Okay, you guys catch quick. Rav Hamnuna, yeah.
Huna and Ham.
Hamnuna. So Rav Huna says to Rav Chisda, the next time you see Rav Hamnuna, send him to me. I want to see what he's all about. You know, Sephardi style. I want to pick his brains. Yeah, I want to pick his brains. Yeah. We're going to talk and learning. That's what happened. He sends him Rav Hamnuna. Rav Huna asks him the first question. Why aren't you wearing a hat on your head? What does that mean, why aren't you wearing a hat on your head? Back in the day, only married men used to wear a certain kind of a hat. So he said, where is your hat? He said, listen, I'm, the shidduch crisis out there, I can't find a wife. The shatchanim, I'm too short, I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, I'm too tall. Tall people got married, skinny people got married, fat people got married, and short people got married. Rav Huna turned his face and he told Rav Hamnuna, don't you dare step foot in my house again until you get married. And he kicked him out. You know where Rav Hamnuna is? Do you know how many halachot there is in the Gemara in his name? No. But Rav Huna said, don't step into my house until you're married. Why does the Torah spend so much time to speak about the story of Yitzchak and Rivka? Because it's important. Happens to be Eliezer was there, but the Torah doesn't mention his name because he's not important to the story. You know what the craziest thing about the parasha is? Yitzchak comes back, he sees Rivka. She comes off the horse, takes her inside the camel, takes her inside the house. The miracles happen, we know the story. The craziest part of this story is Avraham Avinu at the age of 137 says to himself, my son got married, my wife passed away. It's time for me to also get remarried. And he got remarried. And he had 7 more kids. 7 more kids from a woman called TORAH. Even Avraham Avinu knew the importance of not staying alone. So what does that mean? If Avraham Avinu at the age of 137 years old had another 7 kids, the Gemara says, Baboker zra et zar'echa ula'erev al tanach yadecha. You never rest. Life is not for resting. Resting is only when? When is resting?
When you die.
When you die. Sleeping is when?
When you die.
When you die. You're going to have plenty of time to sleep then.
Don't worry, man. They're going to wait for all my money.
Don't worry, you have a lot of time left.
They got to wait.
Amen. Netzach Sela.
Amen.
Va'ed. I want to give you one more point over here about the Chaye Sarah. And I'm going to read you a Tosafot. The Gemara says the institution of marriage was created by rabbis. Not rabbis of today. The rabbis of back then. The Chachamim. I mean, we're not fake over here, but they're like on a different level compared to them, yes.
We worms.
Yeah, we were. That's what Avraham Avinu said. That's what David HaMelech said, I'm sorry. So the rabbis, they made the institution of marriage. So the Tosafot say, what does that mean that they made the institution of marriage? The Tosafot says, Lachen Omrim. What do we say to remind us of that? When we get married under the chuppah, you give the woman, what do you give her? A ketuvah, that's true. But what do you give her? A ring, a tabat. And what do you say to her when you give her the ring? Harei at mikudeshet li kedat Moshe v'Yisrael. Why don't we just say kedat harei at mikudeshet li kekatuv b'Torah that you have to get married? Kedat Moshe v'Yisrael. Why do we mention Moshe v'Yisrael? To behold, you are separate. Mikudeshet, the word kiddushin really means separated. You are exclusive to me right now. As the religion of Moshe and Israel. Why do we mention Moshe and Israel? To remind us that the institution of marriage was created by who? Chachamim. And who's the first Chacham? Who's the first Rabbeinu? Moshe Rabbeinu. Can't get that answer wrong. That would be a crazy question to get wrong on a test. Who's the first rabbi? I don't know, Hamnuna. No, it's Moshe Rabbeinu. So there's the question that's asked. And this is a bomb question. I read this today. I shook. Why do we say Harei at mikudeshet li? Okay, I understand that. Behold, you are mine, right? You're exclusive to me. Kedat Moshe veYisrael. What should we say? Kedat Moshe. Or you could just say Kedat Yisrael. Why do you have to say Kedat Moshe veYisrael? Why do you have to mention Moshe and Yisrael?
Moshe was married to Israel.
That's a very nice. You're touching on a point. You're touching on something. But here the answer that
I want to wipe us all
yeah.
out.
You're touching on the half of the answer right now, but I'm gonna polish your answer. It's a beautiful answer. I saw this in the book Barchi Nafshi today. When Moshe comes to save the Jews, it's amazing what happens. The first outing he has with the Jews, he runs to God and he says, soon these guys are gonna stone me to death. Who are you sending me to take out? 12 tribes. Every tribe was different than the other one. You had 2 Jews, 3 opinions. This is 600,000 men, and there were really much more because this was before Makat Choshech.
Fighting men.
They're gonna stone me to death. Hashem says, don't worry, I'm gonna take care of it. Okay. But we see what was going on in Moshe's brain, right? We have a glimpse into his mind. What happens 50 days later at Har Sinai? They do the Egel, and suddenly Moses is suddenly this big protector. He changes his tune. God, if you're not going to save them, wipe me out. Whoa. Take it easy. What are you, like multiple personalities? First, they're you complaining they're going to stone you. And now you're saying, if you're going to wipe them, wipe me out too. What's going on here? In that story is the secret of Kedat Moshe veYisrael and the secret of how to make a marriage work. You see, somebody in the marriage will always be Israel. What's Israel? Stone Moshe! Get rid of him! I give up. Sometimes you say like Moshe, I can't take this anymore, I give up. These guys are gonna, this woman here, she's gonna stone me. But at the end of the day, what did Moshe say? If not them,
Not me.
not me. Selah. We stick till the end. That's why we say Kedat Moshe v'Yisrael. Remember, in a marriage you have two. There's not always high up, and you're not always down. Sometimes you have to be, soon this woman is gonna kill me. And sometimes you have to be, if not her, then no one else. That's why we mention both of them. In the Judaism, the D word doesn't exist. There's no such kind of thing as the D word. Every bad word in the English language starts with the letter D. Did you know that? Yeah. Hey, Mashiach comes on a donkey. Take it easy.
It depends.
Death.
Depends.
Death.
Depends.
Disgusting.
Depends. No.
The D word.
Yeah, that's donkey.
The D. The letter D. What is the letter D?
I don't know.
Dalat. Dalet. What's a dalet?
4.
It's a deformed hay. It's a deformed hay. It's without the hook at the end.
No door.
No door to let them back in. We need to understand Kedat Moshe v'Yisrael. And here's the last tip.
Turn your dollar into a
Turn your dollar into a hey. I like that. You should make that into a quote, a meme. Here's the last thing. Why is the institution of marriage in the Chachamim's hands? To teach you. Before a person, God forbid, has a Shalom Bayit problem, he shouldn't turn to his father and she shouldn't turn to her father. He shouldn't turn to his mother and she shouldn't turn to his mother. You have to go to somebody neutral. And who better to go than the person who created the institution in the first place? Moshe Rabbeinu. And who's Moshe Rabbeinu? He's in every single Chacham in every generation. How do we know that? It's a Gemara. Rav Yosef said to his student, Moshe Shapir Ka'amart. What does that mean? Moshe Shapir Ka'amar. His name wasn't Moshe, his name was Abaye. The Ari says there's Moshe in every single Chacham. May Hashem help us to realize our true potential. To have Shalom Bayit, to have Bracha, to have Hatzlacha, Yisho Gadol, marriage to all the Ravakim, Bezrat Hashem this year, Akim Bayit Am Yisrael. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen ve Amen.